Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. We'll get started in just a few minutes. I thought I'd pop on a little early to say hello, play a little intro music. My name's Julie Selby. I'm with Sandhi Social Marketing Training, and we're going to get started in about 5 minutes here. Feel free to say hello if you are watching live today, and let me know where you're tuning in from. Are you from my hometown, Victoria, BC, or from somewhere else? Just going to test my tech real quick here. All right, looking good. Wahoo, we're live. Looking good. All right. Oh, hello, Chris. Hello, Chris. Of course, I remember you. Chris joins us from Belgium, and I met Chris in the wonderful Grey Wave community that's run by Steve Dotto. So thank you so much for tuning in today, Chris. So nice to have you with me. Yay. Everything looks good. We're live on LinkedIn. We are live on Facebook. Let me just check YouTube real quick here. All right. And we're live as well on YouTube. All right, looking good. I'm so excited to be with you here today. I've had a good time preparing this social media trends presentation. Oh, so wonderful to see you. Well, have you with me, Chris. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you attending. Of course, we'll be recording today's presentation. So for anyone that is not able to attend today, of course, this presentation will be recorded. So you'll be able to watch the recording anytime after our presentation is complete. We are scheduled here today for about an hour's time. So it'll be about an hour presentation. I've got lots to share with you. All right. Got about 2 minutes to showtime here. I'm just going to do a little chair dancing. Feel free to join me. This is the third year I have done this social media trends presentation. So not a predictions presentation per se, because of course I'm looking at everyone else's trends reports and gathering the information, but hopefully I can share my insight on what are my favorite top trends and hopefully give you lots of ideas to take away for your own business. So this presentation is geared for small business owners who are based in the US and Canada, but even if you are further abroad, as Chris is, I know you'll get a lot of information, great information that you'll be able to use for your business. Are you dancing with me, Chris? One minute to showtime. Oh, yay. Yay. It's wonderful to have you here, Chris. It can be daunting to present live by yourself. With that said, I just promoted this event yesterday, so I know if I gave people more notice, I'm sure I would have more people showing up live for the presentation. All right, and we are just about at time here, so I'm going to stop my music and I'm going to add my presentation. So welcome. Welcome, everyone. It is officially 6 o'clock. I am Julie Selby with Sandhi Social Marketing Training, and welcome to my top 5 social media marketing trends for small business for 2024 presentation. Let's go ahead and get started. And I want to start with a territorial acknowledgement. I acknowledge and I'm grateful to live and work on the traditional territory of the Songhees Nation, land of the Lekwungen people, also known as Victoria, BC, Canada. And as I mentioned, because I'm based here in Canada and I serve clients who are based in Canada and the US, much of the presentation will include statistics, social media facts and statistics from those places. For those who don't know me, the bulk of my business is doing private lessons for private social media marketing lessons and advice for small business owners. I'm a born connector, and I truly believe that the online world needs more positive voices and kind leadership. I have been teaching digital communication skills for years to hundreds of business owners. I've done lots of speaking for many organizations. I've also used to teach at my local community college for many years. And I've been a guest speaker for our local universities and college, as well as I have a background in sales and marketing. So that is how I approach social media marketing, is how can social media marketing support your sales for your small business? So I'm going to mention what we're going to cover today in the presentation. I'm going to start by sharing some social media marketing statistics, and then I'm going to talk about my top 5 social media marketing trends. And at the end of each section, I'm going to give recommendations for small business owners. So obviously, you won't be able to do it all. So I want you to just, pick and choose the items that you think will be useful for you or relevant for your small business. I also want to mention, as we pause here, I am happy to share a copy of the presentation slides. So if you would like to have a copy of the presentation slides, be sure to comment on this post wherever you are watching. I'm broadcasting live today to my Facebook page as well as LinkedIn as well as YouTube. So feel free to comment, and I'll make sure to share a downloadable PDF copy of these presentation slides that you're about to see. Also, I have embedded in the PDF document many links to either the articles or the statistics sources that I'll be quoting in the presentation. So you'll be able to dig in further to some of those links if that is of interest. I'm also going to briefly share an update at the end on X or Twitter versus Instagram's Threads. That didn't kind of fit anywhere else in the presentation, so I kind of put that in at the end, as well as a few other interesting reports that I won't be covering in today's presentation. In the past, in my trends presentations, I've also included some consumer trends to help give you ideas for what you might want to put in your content plan for those creating content. I just had so much information in just the trends alone. I decided to just totally keep that out of the presentation this year. So I will mention a few interesting reports that you might want to check out on your own. And with that, I want to share, I tried to put together this chart of social media platforms, and this is social media numbers by monthly active users. It's not that easy to get this data, and there are a variety of sources of this data that differ. So I did my very best to look at a variety of sources and try to compare apples to apples in terms of the various top social media channels that are used for business and which ones are more important. So for example, we hear a lot about Twitter, but you can see comparatively it is, significantly smaller in terms of the number of monthly active users than say Facebook, um, YouTube, Instagram, even TikTok, etc. So this just puts things a little bit in perspective. And again, remember, some are based on estimates. So for example, going forward, Facebook or Meta has said that they will not break out the individual active users for Facebook and Instagram. They're basically bundling everything together, saying these are the statistics for our family of apps, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. So it's might get harder over time. And also, for example, LinkedIn doesn't actually give monthly active users. They just give total number of users in different countries. So again, this was based on past data and is an estimate, but again, puts things kind of in perspective in terms of the size of the social channels globally. I also have this slide here shows the app rankings worldwide, and this is broken up by downloads on the left, consumer spend, and monthly active users. Just again to give you an idea of the popularity of different social media platforms. So for 2023, TikTok continued to be in the first place for not only for downloads, but for consumer spend. When it comes to monthly active users, it was in 5th position, with Meta's products still dominating, with Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Messenger in ahead of that. And then, yeah, no surprise. Again, kind of mirrors that other graph that I just showed you with the active monthly users, but just another way to look at things. I have also these charts from Data Reportal. They have fantastic reports. So they've got global statistics reports on everything digital, and they also have individual country reports. So you'll find a whole variety of useful, helpful data for both Canada and the US and many other countries on the Data Reportal website. So again, I've got the link to the source on the bottom of each slide. I also want to mention in the Data Reportal information here that I'm sharing, this does show the top social platforms, but for whatever reason in this question, they excluded YouTube. So keep in mind here that the top social channels, YouTube for Canada, YouTube would be right up at the top, likely just underneath Facebook. So if we look at the top social channels currently used in Canada, it would go Facebook, YouTube, Facebook Messenger. Again, I'm not sure why they included Facebook Messenger separately here, because that's, kind of integrated into Facebook. And I have read that they may be even integrating that app back into the Facebook app. It used to be a part of Facebook app and they split it out at one point. Next comes Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, iMessage, that's the iPhone private messaging. Again, I don't know why they've included that in this group of social media. Then comes X, Twitter, which surprised me that that's still so alive and well in Canada. I would have thought that might have decreased in popularity, but it continues to be one of the players in Canada social media, as well as LinkedIn. And again, even though LinkedIn doesn't have a huge global audience, it definitely is a relevant social platform, certainly for business in both Canada and the US, as well as Pinterest and Snapchat. I'm going to move over to the next slide here, which shows the US top social media channels. So Facebook, again, I would include YouTube, which was not included on this question, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, TikTok, iMessage, X or Twitter, Pinterest, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and Reddit. I know Reddit is popular in Canada too, but it's also a very specific audience. Tends to be younger and male dominated in Canada, but I'll leave it at that for now. So if you want more information on either of those specific country reports, I highly recommend going to the Data Reportal website to check it out. Also from the Data Reportal data, I wanted to share with you that the average number of platforms. So this chart shows the average number of social platforms by age and gender. And it shows that people use an average of 5 to 7 social media platforms, with the younger generation using more, and the 45 plus group using less social channels. Why am I sharing this with you? Because I want you to know that you do not have to be everywhere. Matter of fact, that is one of the common mistakes that people make, is they try to be on too many social channels, they spread themselves thin, and they don't do any of them well. So I do recommend at least 2 social media channels in your mix. In a perfect world, if you're super brand new, you might start with 1, but over time, we want to have at least 2 social media channels, and don't worry if you're not everywhere. So as we discuss TikTok today, for example, and the opportunities that can be available doing content on TikTok, you should also know that, you will still potentially be able to reach those folks in other places. So this next chart from the same report shows the social platform audience overlaps. And it shows that you can, here we go. I'm looking at my peeking at my notes here. More than 80% of TikTok users are on Facebook, and Facebook and Instagram, and 77% use YouTube. And nearly 80% of Pinterest users are on Facebook and YouTube, and 87% use Instagram. So if you can't reach someone on one social platform, you could potentially reach them on another social platform, and you don't necessarily have to be everywhere. That's what I want to share. So, just to give you the goods up front, my top five favorite social media trends, and of course, I'll go through each one of these in detail. But for those that like the list up front, I'm going to talk about trend number one: artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence tools being built into everything we use. Number two, social media fatigue. People are sick of social media. So, where does that leave us as business owners? I'm going to share trend number three, social video trends. I'm going to talk about a variety of trends happening in social video. And number four, the era of the everyday content creator. Kind of excited about to share about that. And then finally, trend number five, social search for discovery. So again, this is an ongoing trend, but I'll be telling you a little bit more about what's going on with that. So starting with trend number one, generative artificial intelligence tools built into everything. So I'm sure you've seen on the news and heard all about all of the tools available out there. This is there are like probably thousands of tools now, and not only that, there's going to be generative AI features built into virtually every single thing that we use, every tool that we use. And so this graphic was a framework developed by futurist Brian Solis and colleagues. And I do have a link at the bottom of the slide that if you want to go check out more closely. But in January 2022, in my trends talk, I talked about artificial intelligence tools and how they were an assistant for writing. And then when it came to my talk last year for January 2023, I was talking about how generative artificial intelligence tools were becoming more of a collaborative creative partner, and now they're built into everything that we're going to be using. So what is generative AI? Generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can create new things such as text, images, music, or code by learning from existing data. It can write, create images, video, or music based on your input, which are called prompts. So these new tools are going to continue to get better and cheaper and more accessible to everybody, which is both overwhelming and potentially amazing for business owners and marketers. But there are downsides and ethical issues. So before I tell you about all the fun and useful stuff, I have to completely terrify you. Important but sometimes boring things that you need to know about before while you're using these tools for your business so you don't get in trouble. Number one, there are plagiarism concerns. These generative AI tools are based on the collective work of others, so potentially all the content online, and creators who have not agreed to allow their work to train these tools. And there are many artists and creators suing the companies that own these tools. So when you use a free tool like ChatGPT, they are also using your data to help train their model. But I want you to know you can opt out. And I'll show you in the next slide how to do that. I'm going to give you a link to be able to do that. And so there are two things to be aware of here. Number one, when you use an AI writing tool of any kind, this is important, you are still legally responsible for the written content you use, especially if you're putting it on your website. So I would say it's more the wild, wild west on social media platforms. Could you get called out if you used, say, a social media caption that was, created in ChatGPT that was something written by someone else? Potentially, but you're more likely to get in legal trouble if you're using ChatGPT, for example, to write a whole article on a topic and perhaps, maybe a paragraph, or I don't know what amount of that content could have been, copyrighted by someone else. So you are legally responsible for this. So consider using an online plagiarism checker tool. There are many, to be on the safe side when it comes to AI writing tools. And again, I would say this is more important if you are using this for written content on your own website, or if you're someone that does writing for others and you're going to be putting that content on their website. So be sure to use a plagiarism checker tool. Number two, be aware of where your own intellectual property is stored. And what the terms of service are for the tools that you use. So I want to just acknowledge that this is not my tip. This is a great tip that comes from an author, AI expert named Ben Angel, from an excellent webinar from Mari Smith that Mari Smith had hosted. I know she shared the replay of that webinar. I don't know if she made that webinar available publicly or not. And I also want to acknowledge that the plagiarism tip comes from a presentation from the AI Writers Summit. They had a lawyer do a presentation on that, and she said that you're legally responsible for any written content. So I just want to acknowledge the sources for those tips. Another important point I want you to know is to be aware that the US Copyright Office has ruled that content created using artificial intelligence tools cannot be copyrighted. So you can certainly use tools, but don't plan on writing a book or creating images for a book, for example, and expecting that you'll be able to copyright that content. If that content was created by AI, there's no way to copyright that, and other people could potentially use that, though that could change in the future. So yeah, a DC court said human authorship is a bedrock requirement of copyright. So just be aware of that. You cannot copyright anything that you create using generative AI tools. These tools are changing how we work and have already replaced work for some people. So I shared this from last year. Marketers who don't use AI tools could get replaced by marketers who do. So if you're not already using these tools, playing with these tools, experimenting, then I suggest you get started. And many were, and actually I'm going to skip that quote. Okay. A couple of other points to note, again, on the downside of this, is that these tools will have a big impact on trust and misinformation as they get better at creating images and video. How will you know what's real or what you can trust? I have to say, I've even found myself lately looking at social media posts. There was one post with an adorable baby with a whole bunch of adorable kittens on its lap, and I thought, I wonder if that image was created by AI. There was even a recent scandal with Princess Kate from the UK, who had used an AI photo editing tool to edit a family photo when she hadn't been seen for a while, and there was all kinds of conspiracy theories about the family, and even that caused journalists to go back and more closely scrutinize past family photos that were shared. So we're getting into this era of what can we trust, what's real, and what can we trust. Also, generative AI tools take a huge amount of computing power, which may not be good for the environment. And these tools are also terrifying for the potential ways that criminals could use them. But I'm not going to discuss that in today's presentation. Moving on. Here, I promised to share with you where you can opt out of having your data used by ChatGPT. So this is the site you can go to, and here's the direction. They've also actually just made their tool, the free version of ChatGPT, available to the public without having to have an account and log in. And that is because, in part, they need more data to feed and train these models. According to that blog post, it did say you could also opt out, even if you didn't have an account, that you could opt out of having your data used by ChatGPT. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, just wanted to make you aware of that. So be aware of wherever you might have your own content hosted, what their policies are, and be aware that you also need to be checking to see if you're creating content with AI, especially written content that you want to put on your website, that it's not plagiarized. All right, and this is, consider creating an AI policy to add to your website along with your privacy policy and terms and conditions. Here's a helpful resource from a company called 650 based in the US. They sell legal documents for business. This is a great plain English article on their website that talks about creating a good AI policy, what's included in a good AI policy, and they also have a free customizable AI in the workplace policy you can use if you like. Even if you're a solopreneur and you don't have employees, you could share your policy with your subcontractor, anyone who's helping you create content, particularly for your website or for those who manage your social channels, to make sure that you're on the same page. And if you provide services, make sure you're not doing something that could create a future liability for your clients. So at this point, I'm going to take a deep breath because it's a lot going on with generative AI and all the changes we're seeing in our society. um, we will all be impacted in ways that are hard to even imagine yet. This is a quote from an AI talk that I watched. It says, "Right now, we are afraid because it's the first time in history that no one has any idea what the world will look like in 10 years." And this presentation was quoting Yuval Harari, a well-known author, great mind, author of the book Sapiens. So, and this is a great presentation as well. I recommend watching this. This is from a company called Trend Hunter that's based in Ontario, Canada. They've got lots of great free presentations on their YouTube channel, including this talk about AI. My advice is to stay calm, keep an open mind, and embrace change, because AI, generative AI, is evolving and developing. Whether we like it or not, it is going to change, potentially make big changes in our society in big ways, but it's coming. It's coming whether we like it or not. So keep an open mind. Generative AI tools have evolved. Now let's get into some of the fun stuff here. So in just 1 year, this image on the left, I used a prompt woman social media manager, and check out like the terrible, oh, they could barely do a face and the hands. And you can see the image on the right was more recently. My prompt was woman social media managers. To be fair, I did use different generative AI image creation tools for this little example. So they were not used, this wasn't the same tool that I used for these, but look at the difference in this. Still a little bit weird on the hands. That's one thing people tend to notice. So if you've actually got limbs involved, it's not so good at coming up with these, but it can do pretty incredible stuff just by typing in text into one of the tools, and the image that it creates from that is pretty incredible. So we've come a really long way in just a year. OpenAI, also the folks who own ChatGPT, have just released a new tool called Sora, not available broadly to the public yet, but this is a text to video generated tool. It creates realistic, imaginative video from your text instructions. You may have seen this on the news. So the prompt on the left here, I'll hit play here. The prompt on the left was so someone typed in, several giant woolly mammoths approach treading through a snowy meadow. Oh, I hit play again here. Through a snowy meadow, their long woolly fur lightly blows in the wind as they walk, snow-covered trees and dramatic snow-capped mountains in the distance, mid-afternoon light with wispy clouds, and a sun high in the distance creates a warm glow, etc., etc. So that was quite a long prompt, but pretty crazy. And this one on the right was a little bit shorter. The typed prompt was a movie trailer featuring the adventures of a 30-year-old spaceman wearing a red wool knit motorcycle helmet, blue sky, salt desert, cinematic style shot on 35mm film, vivid colors. So this is shocking how good the AI is getting at creating human faces. So you can check out the website, openai.com/Sora, and you can see many different examples of what this tool has created. So in a short period of time, we've come a long way with graphics, and it's only going to continue. As I mentioned, AI tools will be built into everything. So I'm going to share lots of examples of how our social platforms that we're already using are building content creation and chatbot assistant type tools right into their products. So from Meta, which of course owns Facebook and Instagram, they are testing more than 20 new ways generative AI can improve your experiences across Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp. On the far left side, you may have seen comment prompts. So, it's hard to think of what to say sometimes to comment on someone's post. They're actually coming up with comment prompts. This one is giving an example of what to say for someone's birthday. Before long, they may be giving us suggestions they already are giving some prompts of what to say. on posts. So that could evolve. On the next to that there, you can see their expander tool. This is a tool that actually also exists in Canva. I've used this tool in Canva. So say I have an image that's not a square or that's not a vertical image, and I want to turn it into a square or a vertical image. You can use an expander that just imagines what the photo would look like if it was taller. So that's the one, this one right here. So you can see there's a regular size photo, and the tool basically makes it taller. So that's very useful for content creation. Again, I would suggest that, we don't want to imagine something to be misleading to the audience. So hopefully that the expansion is inconsequential, like as in not misleading. Then they also have a chatbot assistant. Facebook essentially, or Meta, imagines that we'll all have our own chatbots in the future that will help us with tasks, help be a creative collaborative partner. Meta also has a text to image generation tool. Their tool is called Imagine. That's shown on the far right here. It's currently available on the US in desktop and on mobile, and will be added to Messenger and Instagram's direct messages so friends can play together. I don't see it available in Canada yet, so I haven't tried it. Here are a few of the new AI features built right into Instagram. The first three on the left are AI stickers. Did you know this existed? So you might have noticed an AI sticker function in Instagram, and it allows you to kind of cut out the shape so you can upload a photo. But did you know you can also upload a video? So if you ever were looking to do a custom click here button that you didn't necessarily want other people to use, or if you wanted to do your own animated moving stickers, you could do that. So I'm going to hit play here so you can see this little sticker. So this is a video that I shared recently on my Instagram. And I don't know how well you can see this, but up in the top left-hand corner, that is a little sticker of me saying, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. I took it from one of my videos that I had created, and now I did a little cutout of that, and it lives in my Instagram account as a sticker so that I could add that to my Instagram stories anytime. So that's pretty cool, right? And here, this shows an example of it here. So you can add these stickers onto onto your projects. It's very cool. On the far right here, and actually the cutout stickers are for stories as well as reels, I should mention. Um, on the far right, you can see there's a restyle feature. So it takes an existing photo, and in this example, they've put a text prompt of a watercolor to turn the photo into a watercolor. On the far right, there's a backdrop feature, which allows you to change the background of your media. So in this case, this example on the far right, they said, put a background of surrounded by puppies, and that's showing there. So we're going to see we already are seeing many different types of AI features built right into the tools we already use. Here's a couple of examples of YouTube. So, and again, these features may not be widely available yet. So also similar to the background, YouTube's version of a background for videos for content is called Dream Screen. So they're going to allow you to imagine what you want your background to be. Other tools will allow creators to brainstorm for ideas, help draft outlines for videos, and even edit short videos, not widely available yet. And I think the most interesting AI tool that YouTube's potentially offering is a tool called Aloud. And this is a language dubbing tool. This was a Google project that's now being integrated with YouTube Studio to offer free language dubbing. So imagine you have your content that you're sharing in your home language, and you want to have more people be able to watch your videos. So maybe you want to have your videos translated into Spanish, and it's your actual voice speaking in Spanish, sharing your content. So I think there's so much very interesting potential, especially for those who make part of their revenue stream from the number of watches that you get on your YouTube videos. Doing this language dubbing would allow more people all over the world to be able to watch and appreciate your content. Okay, moving on. These are some more examples. a few of the AI features built into some other social media channels. Most of the LinkedIn AI features appear to be available with their paid accounts. The first one on the left is showing how it can help a LinkedIn user write a post, give you ideas for writing a post. Or there's another one that's kind of interesting that you might see as you're scrolling your LinkedIn posts, where it actually says what are the takeaways on the bottom. So if there's a long post and you want to have AI just summarize the takeaways from that written post for you, it could do that. That is it will, if you have a free account, it will prompt you to potentially sign up for the paid account. So that's a feature of the paid account. And also not shown on this slide, LinkedIn has a profile writing suggestions feature to potentially help you craft an engaging headline and about section for your profile. I know that's an area a lot of people struggle with. Many people have a blank or a 1 or 2 sentence about section because they just don't know what to put in that section. So this feature could potentially be useful. Um, and it takes the tool pulls content from information you already have in your LinkedIn profile to help write that about section on your profile. Snapchat has an AI assistant built in, or a chat bot. They have gotten into some trouble in the past with this tool, with having young people ask it questions that, unknowingly inappropriate questions, and the tool actually answering. um, TikTok has several AI features. um, Not long ago, their deal, I believe it was with Universal Music, they didn't want to continue to pay the rates for the music rights, or there was something between Universal Music and TikTok where Universal pulled its whole music catalog from TikTok. And so that's kind of a bummer for folks that had used songs from that music catalog on their videos. Suddenly their songs, their sound on those videos disappeared. So that's a bummer. So TikTok has also introduced an experimental feature called AI Song that allows users to generate original songs from text prompts. Not widely available yet. They're just testing that. Of course, TikTok will also have a chatbot feature they're calling Tako, Tako, not widely available yet. And even X, also known as Twitter, has an AI assistant built in called Grok. That one is only available to premium subscribers, so I have not tried that one yet. And one of my favorite tools, one of the most popular tools for small business, Canva, has just a ton of AI features built in. So I want to tell you about a few of those tools. So did you know that AI does have a writing tool built in? So this is, and I want to mention as I'm telling you about these features, um, that our data is not being used to train AI on Canva. So I don't know, some of Canva's AI, generative AI tools, including the writing tool, are built on top of OpenAI's tools. And so they must have some deal with OpenAI that their users' data is not being used for training. Apparently, Canva will offer in the future you could opt in, but that it will be off by default. So that's good news. Way to go, Canva. We can't necessarily say the same for Zoom. Zoom had a little snafu a while back where they were potentially using users' data from private meetings to train. They quickly backed out of that and said, we're not doing that. And of course, that's optional if you want to turn on the AI features of Zoom meetings. Okay, so this is the Magic Write. This is in Canva. This is called Magic Write. Here's how Canva describes it. Magic Write is an AI-enabled writing assistant that empowers anyone to effortlessly and quickly create written content. You can use it for social posts, business plans, websites, blogs, poems, journaling, creative writing, and more. It can generate sentences, paragraphs, lists, outlines, and more based on the text prompt you enter. So again, we need to develop that skill of what do we put into these tools to be able to get useful content out the other side, right? So Canva users have 50 lifetime Magic Write uses. And so there may be, I'm not sure, I have a paid Canva account, so I'm not sure exactly how much of these features are available for a paid account, but some potentially are. Certainly with the, $17 a month, $20 a month account, paid account, or $120 a year, something like that. If you've got paid Canva, you will have access to all these features I'm about to share with you here. So, and Canva paid, it says they have up to 500 Magic Write uses per billing cycle. So kind of interesting. Here are a few more of the features. Again, I mentioned Magic Expand. So I use this a lot more I use this in Canva more regularly, this Magic Expand. So you can see in the example on the left how it has a photo that is shorter essentially, and it's taking the photo and simply expanding, imagining what the photo would look like if it were taller. On the right hand side here, we have Magic Edit. So this tool actually, click play here. This tool, you can actually run the mouse over an item in the image and put in a text prompt. So in this case, they've put in a text prompt for this blouse of professional suit jacket, and it actually changed the clothing the woman is wearing in the photo to a suit jacket. So that's Magic Edit. Kind of cool, right? So again, I think something like putting on a suit jacket from a blouse is not a misleading thing, but you would have to say just don't use this in a way that is misleading to our audience. Magic Erase is another feature. So if you have something in a photo that you want to delete, you can run this tool over it and it will delete it. Of course, there is the regular background remover on Canva, but they've also got this new feature called Magic Grab now, which actually, I'm going to hit play again on this. It actually allows you to pull someone out of a photo and move them to a different position in the photo. So kind of cool. And as I mentioned, there are several different types of AI assistants or chatbot tools. So most people have heard of and potentially tried ChatGPT by OpenAI, which still has a free version. And as I mentioned, you don't even need an account to use it anymore. But its information does, for the free account, does only go up to the end of 2021. So depending what you're using it for, that can be limiting. You can upgrade to the more current version called GPT-4 for $20 a month, or there are a number of other third-party tools that have the new GPT-4 built in that have a variety of different features. So as I mentioned, the skill of knowing what to ask the chatbot or prompting is a skill that we're all going to need to develop, because what we put in is going to help determine what we get out of these tools. Microsoft also does have a chatbot tool called Copilot. So if you haven't tried that, that could be something to try. They also have a free and paid version. Google's chatbot is called Gemini, formerly called Bard. That would be, again, something to try. It's free to use online, but you must be logged into your Google account. A competitor of OpenAI has a competing chatbot that they claim is more helpful, honest, and harmless, called Claude. You can request access to that. That is available in the US and many other countries, but not available in Canada yet. So I have not tried that. So something interesting to try and play with. I'm going to just pop back to the stream here. I'm going to say hello to Brianna. Thank you very much for joining, Brianna. Thank you, Linda, for joining. So wonderful to have you with me. Have any of you tried a chatbot tool yet? Let me know in the comments. Have you tried a chatbot tool? And if you have tried a chatbot tool, which one or which ones have you tried? I'm curious. Another use I'm really appreciating for with these generative AI tools is for creating images to help tell stories. So have you ever had a time where you wanted to tell a story about something, you needed a visual, you wrote a blog article, you needed a visual? How much time in the past have I spent on Unsplash or whatever photo tool looking for a photo that will match my blog post? And if you're like me, you're particular about that. So in this case, I want to show you a few examples. On the far left here, there was a story that I wanted to tell for a video about a woman that I talked to many years ago who was an artist, and she was hiding her art away in the basement. She was curious about the possible benefits of social media, but she was also very scared, that other people might copy her work or steal her work. So I tell the story, but I didn't have any visuals from the story. So it can be, a little boring to just tell a story, but to have visuals to be able to add, to say, talk about the woman who was the painter, show that. When I asked the woman what was her goal for being curious about social media, she said she just wanted other people to enjoy her art. So I did a visual of some beautiful landscape art on a living room wall. And then I did a picture of hundreds of paintings in a basement. That's what happened. This gal took me down to her basement, and she showed me all these beautiful, must have been like, I don't know how many paintings, so many paintings that she'd done that were just sitting in her basement, and no one was getting to enjoy them. So in effort of supporting my story, I was able to create some visuals using these tools that I could then insert into my video to make my video more visually interesting and engaging. On the right-hand side, this is an example of one that I did for a client. We wanted to tell the story of how she got to be so passionate about coffee. She had a business, has a business delivering coffee and gift baskets, and we wanted to talk about how she was so passionate about coffee. And her story talks about when she was young and she'd traveled to France, and she went with a girlfriend, and she was visiting a woman's home, and the woman was serving cafe au lait in this bowl that didn't have a handle. So it's like it was nearly impossible for me to find a coffee cup without a handle to tell the story. And also she talked about the baguettes and the fresh homemade jam. So I was able to use AI to come up with an image that showed baguettes, fresh made jam, and and a coffee cup without. And actually in this case I used an AI tool, text to image tool, to create the image, and then I used the magic erase in Canva to actually erase the handle of the coffee cup. So that gave me the image that I needed for the project, and it didn't take me too much time. So pretty cool. So I've just started to play with these tools myself. I have many tools on my wish list bookmarked of things that I want to try. So I thought I haven't used these tools to be fully transparent, but these are ones that I have on my wish list that I want to try. So I thought I'd share some with you. So these ones here are all editing tools. Um, they allow you to upload your videos and edit the text to actually edit the video. So if you cut out a sentence, it will actually cut out that piece of the video. Pretty cool, right? So it's just basically like editing a Word doc. So if you haven't already developed that skill to edit videos, that makes it much easier to potentially edit videos. These tools can also automatically remove pauses and filler words like ums and ahs to save you editing time. So it could potentially get you to a rough cut faster. There are even some tools that will potentially, if they sense you have more than one take of some content, it would even pick the best take. So kind of interesting. So there are also tools that can improve the quality of your audio. So clean up the audio. They can just transcribe videos, add automatic subtitles, etc. So much more. So these are a few that I want to try. I want to just let you know CapCut in the bottom right. This is different than just the regular CapCut app. This is CapCut for Business. So CapCut for Business does have, and again, I've got the websites for these tools here if you want to try them. This CapCut is by TikTok. So if on the off chance, on the slim chance that TikTok does get banned, this tool would probably become not available either. And all of these tools, I just want to mention all of these tools have free versions you can try, and also the paid account. So if you really like the tool and you want to use it, or if they put their own watermark on it and you don't want to have that, which, for professional videos, we don't want to have a video editing tools watermark on there. The paid accounts are under $30 US a month for all of these tools that I've mentioned here. I also want to give a little shout out to the InShot mobile video editing app, because it's not shown on this slide, but it does have some built-in AI features, and including automatic captions, and it's one that is a core tool for me. So I use Canva, I use InShot. These are tools that I use, if not daily, certainly several times a week, and I love the InShot video editing tool. That is specifically for editing on your phone, for mobile editing. I'm going to pop back to my comments here. And we've got Linda says she's used ChatGPT. Just checking with our audience here to see which chatbot tools they've used. Chris you are using you're using GPT-4. Well done, Chris. I'd be curious, Chris, I'm sure you probably had used the ChatGPT free version before that. I'd be curious, Chris, for your feedback on the free versus the paid version. Is it that much better? Is it worth paying $20 a month for? Brenda says she uses also the 4, which is the paid one. Same question for you, Brenda. Is it worth paying for? Is it that much more useful? Brianna says she's probably used half of those tools. And Brianna says also she doesn't like to rely on those tools, but I like to use them to teach me things or simplify things so I can do my manual work better. Very well. Thank you for sharing. And here are just a few more interesting tools on my wish list. Uh, on the left, I'm showing a couple of tools that you can use to create written content from video or audio files. So to help better repurpose content you've already created. So if you have created video content, done live videos, if you have a podcast, for example, and you want to use those existing files to be able to create written content, for example, these are some tools that you can try and use. This All Right AI and Writer. On the right, there are these tools on the right are tools that can take a longer video and chop them up into a whole bunch of short vertical videos for social media. Again, I'm always skeptical of what the quality of the clips will be, so certainly would be worth playing with and trying different tools and seeing what does a good job. And I want to remind you, this is something I've shared with you in the past, but I want to remind you again. LinkedIn Learning, formerly known as lynda.com. So it is a site that has courses to develop your professional skills, everything from social media to content creation to video editing to you name it, leadership. There's just tons of courses. So lynda.com was bought by LinkedIn because it fits their whole theme of being the economic developer, the business social network, and mapping all the world's talent, mapping all the world's companies, and helping to connect companies with the talent they need, and also helping people develop the skills that companies need to fill jobs for. So LinkedIn Learning is a great fit for them, and there's just tons of courses. So the great thing, if you are in Canada, again, I don't know about the US, but if you're in Canada or elsewhere, do check with your local public library. I can tell you the local public libraries in Canada have a deal with LinkedIn Learning that you can use your library card, your free public library card, to log into LinkedIn Learning for free. And you can access hundreds of skills courses. I even figured out that you can log into your smartphone so that you can be consuming some of these courses on the go when you have a few minutes here and there. So and I want to point this out specifically because they have I should also mention if you happen to have a paid LinkedIn account, LinkedIn Learning would also be included with your paid LinkedIn account. And if you don't want to have a paid LinkedIn account, you also can just subscribe to LinkedIn Learning separately. I think it's about $35 a month or so, but do check with your public library to see if you can access this awesome resource for free. They have two courses that I want to suggest that are specifically on developing the skill of your prompting, or what questions or text you type into these chatbot tools to help get more useful answers. And one is about how to use ChatGPT for content creation. Another course specifically is about using ChatGPT prompts for small business, and they're reasonably new courses. They from basically from last year, mid to late last year, are those courses. So there's a variety of courses about generative AI, including a couple of courses specifically about developing your skill of prompting on LinkedIn Learning. So do let me know if you have any questions about that. I do have the link on the slide for how to access. Um, Let me know if you have any questions. So this link that I have right here on the bottom right of the slide is how to access the site from the Greater Victoria Public Library if you happen to be based in Victoria. And all you do is just replace your library code in the very end of this link. But by all means, your local public library in Canada would be able to give you that link and the information to get logged in there. And ask them as well, or ask me if you want help for how to log into the mobile app. All right. Moving on. I want to also share Paul Raitzer and Mike Kaput's podcast, The Artificial Intelligence Show. Also, he's the one that had said famously before last year the quote, "If you don't use AI tools, you'll get replaced by people that do use AI tools. So that quote specifically comes from him. It is hard to keep up with what's going on in the world of generative AI. So this is a wonderful resource. He's just an absolute wealth of knowledge. I also follow Paul on LinkedIn. His posts are fantastic. So they've got a podcast called The Artificial Intelligence Show. They talk about all the current happenings in AI, and he's also sharing the latest news, events. They've got online courses, a membership community, etc. So I highly recommend that you follow this resource. So I promised that was the longest trend. The other ones are not quite so long. What are our action steps for generative AI? Try some of the AI features that are built in to tools you already use. That's a great place to start. Try a chatbot tool if you haven't already. Consider trying a new AI tool. Perhaps there's a tool that could help you with a task that you don't love, or perhaps there's a tool that could help you repurpose or better leverage existing content that you may already have to help you get some more traction with your content. I'm going to pop back to the comment here. And I had asked our folks attending here if they thought it was worth paying for the paid version of the OpenAI tool. And Brenda says, I think it's worth paying for as I need to access it with clients. Interesting. Without the slowdown of the free version. Okay, so I'm hearing Brenda say that the paid version is faster. Interesting. Chris says, I like the 4. It also gives me the possibility to work with pictures and access the internet. Yes. So Chris, you have a great point. The AI or the text to image tool, I believe it's Dolly, I think that's built into that. They have a very good text to AI image tool built in, which is included in the paid version. So that's a very good point. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. On to trend number 2. Social media fatigue. People are tired of social media. While we love our phones and all the positive benefits of social media channels, like staying in touch with friends and family, plus networking for business, of course, we are so tired of all the spam, the fake impersonation accounts, all of the hacking issues. We're tired of the harassment, the toxic comments, tired of the misinformation, and we're tired of seeing way too many ads. Can I get an amen? Do you feel me? We are also tired of the pressure we feel about what to share and whether or not something will get likes. One trend expert I enjoy and follow on TikTok and LinkedIn is a gal named Coco Moco, and that's Coco Coco Moco Mocoe. I've got a quote from her later in the presentation. She's made a career, young lady who's made a career on predicting trends. She accurately predicts trends, and she has predicted the eventual end of what she calls public vanity metrics. So which is, the likes, the number of likes, basically showing the likes on your posts and potentially shares, since that will take the pressure off people. And social media channels would like us to post more, but sometimes we don't post because we don't want to worry about what the interaction is on the post. So she says, Coco Moco says, we're coming to the end of the show off era, which I think will be welcome. This recent Washington Post piece argues that all things considered, social platforms detract from human welfare. Yikes. The article cites an October 2023 study that was done by a group of economists from several different universities that measured what students would pay for Instagram and TikTok not to exist for 1 month. Here's a quote from the article. In the experiment run by researchers, the students demanded to be paid to leave TikTok or Instagram for a month. But the wrinkle appeared with the next question about the monetary value of having all of their friends drop the social networks too. It turned out that students would actually pay for that. The researchers found that students on TikTok would be willing to pay $28 for TikTok to disappear from their social circle for a month. The equivalent for Instagram was $10. So they value TikTok more highly, I guess. Being on the networks, in other words, detracted from their lives. This is young people thinking this. But they would be even worse off if they abandoned the social network while their friends stayed on. So that fear of missing out definitely is an issue for our young people. In other words, there's a social cost to opting out of social media. And in this survey, 1,000 college students were surveyed. Because of this social media fatigue, more and more people have shifted from sharing on their profile, whether it's friends only or public, to sharing with a specific or smaller group of people in private messages. So your DMs or your direct messages, private messages, same, same. This is not new, of course, but a continuing trend. The head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, recently said more photos and videos are shared in DMs than are shared to stories or to feed on any given day. Of all the social channels, Instagram has the best private message feature, so of course preferred by the younger generation. So as much as they love TikTok, Instagram has better private message features, which is one of the reasons young people continue to appreciate the platform. And they continue to add new features for private messages. So, for example, Instagram just added the ability to edit a private message for up to 15 minutes after you send it. So, if you hit send and there's a typo on there, or even if you sent something to someone on accident, you'll be able to fix that issue. And yeah. And this on the far right of the slide is a screenshot showing that you can edit messages for up to 15 minutes now. The other shift that's been happening for a while is that more business owners and organizations are building their own private spaces where they can have more control over the conversation and create safe spaces for real, authentic community connection and support, just as Steve Dotto has done with his Gray Wave community. Steve Dotto has an awesome community. He is teaching solopreneurs, small business owners, professionals who are of the Generation X and Boomers to develop their online skills and develop their online businesses in a safe space. So it's a place you feel comfortable to ask questions, where it's in a really like warm, loving space that he's created. So of course we've had Facebook private groups for a while, but for many reasons, businesses are also choosing to build private communities outside of Meta's platforms, including using tools such as Mighty Networks. That's one I've got on my radar. I do eventually plan to start my own private community. And Mighty Networks is a platform where the creator of a private group actually pays for the software monthly, and you can choose as the creator of the group if you want to offer the community free for your audience or if you want to make it a paid community. So more and more creators that have developed their own audiences are making communities where people support them by paying X amount per month. I think the average membership fee on the platform was $40 a month. And there are many other private community tools like this. These typically host online courses as well, these tools. Here are a few of the popular ones: Mighty Networks, Kajabi, and Circle, for example. Instagram has also offered some interesting features. So again, it's in tune with the trends and has been experimenting with offering different features that will cater to people wanting to share more privately. So just two features to mention today. Instagram has a close friends list. You may or may have not known this, but it allows you to create a list for more private sharing. So you can actually add whoever you want to your close friends list and then use this list for more controlled content sharing for your feed posts, or for your 24-hour stories or reels or notes. So when you notice in this slide here, I don't know how well you can see this, but on the far right here, notice the kind of the lit up circle on this screenshot is green versus the other stories are kind of that hot pink purple color. So when you add someone to your close friends list and you see this green circle on their stories, that means they've added you to their close friends list. So you're among a specific set of people they're allowing to see that specific post, and others who are not added to that close friends list cannot see that content. My mouse is not cooperating. There we go. So with that, you could, if you're feeling shy about sharing content, that could be another way to start sharing some maybe behind the scenes content in your 24-hour stories, where you add some people that you trust on that so that you can start practicing using Instagram stories and building your skills for that. You could also, another idea for using the close friends feature in the stories is to almost create your own focus group. You could get feedback from a specific group of people. So I think about a business that might have a list of their top favorite clients. You could potentially add them on that list. And then you could use your stories to use those engaging stickers to ask them questions or do polls, etc. Great way to get feedback from them. Here's one more feature that Instagram has offered to allow more private sharing. This is called flip side. If you're on Instagram, have you noticed this yet on your profile? So in the bottom right hand corner of your profile, if you look at the screenshot in the far left here, there's a tiny little key icon when you're looking on your own profile on Instagram. If you click that key, it actually flips over to create a completely separate version of your Instagram profile with its own. You can have a different profile photo there. You can have a different bio. You can be sharing completely different content there. So you can share regular posts, 24-hour stories, and reels. So just another interesting way that they've rolled out to allow us to share more, with a more specific group of people. So I should mention people are notified when you add them to your flip side, especially so that they know they can see it. So when someone goes to your profile, they click on the key icon, and then if they've been given permission, they can see that flip side of your profile. Again, only those you give permission to can see this, and they are not notified if you remove them. So this is a totally different feature than the close friends feature. But just very interesting that Instagram's offering these new ways to share more privately. So to wrap up, trend number 2, social media fatigue action steps. Consider creating short form videos to make it easier for people to share you in their private messages. Consider networking from your personal social media profiles. So I'm not suggesting you get rid of your business social media profiles, but if you are not already, you probably already are, but if you're not already networking from at least one personal social media profile for your professional networking, I would highly recommend it. Remember to invite people to join your email newsletter. We are just guests on social media channels, so our website and our email newsletter are our home base that we own. Consider building your own private community. Now, this isn't necessarily right for every business, so you have to ask yourself, would your audience enjoy connecting with one another? If they wouldn't, then maybe that may or may not be right for you. Also, it takes time and energy to build another channel or a private community. So you have to also think about whether or not you have the time and energy to put the effort into championing and building a private community. Also, you can determine whether that will be if you're going to offer a free community or a paid community. And if you're on Instagram, consider playing with some of these more private content sharing features to connect with your audience, build relationships, and potentially help you even build your confidence with your content sharing. On to trend number 3, social video trends. I'm going to just pop back to our chat here real quick. Interesting. Can your Instagram business page? Thank you for your question, Brenda. Brenda is asking, can your Instagram business page do the flip side on Instagram? Yes. For whatever reason, they have allowed the flip side for all account types. And I think this is very interesting. So yes, Brenda, your business page should have flip side. So if you don't see the feature yet, it's possible that it just hasn't been rolled out to everyone yet. Do check your Instagram app in your app store and make sure your app is up to date to see if you have access to that feature. And Chris is making a comment that in the past, I have showed her community how to create a good content calendar. Thank you for your kind words, Chris. All right. So social video trends. Short form videos are still dominating. This is a quote from a Bloomberg interview about the potential TikTok ban news. A gal named Seema Shah from market intelligence firm Sensor Towers said, "We've seen a huge growth in the popularity of short form video. Based on our data, users spend about 350 million hours per day worldwide on short form video versus 150 million for social media and less than 15 million for streaming." So I'm assuming when she says streaming, she means Netflix, etc. So And also, I'm assuming when she says short form video, she means across all social platforms. Kind of a shocking number. So it's still going strong. According to HubSpot's 2024 State of Marketing and Trends report, which came out in January 2024, they said short form video is the number one format, offering the highest ROI, and will see the most growth in 2024. A quarter of marketers plan to invest more in short form video than in any other format in 2024. And more than half of marketers who leverage short form video will increase their investment this year. The report also said that 56% of marketers using TikTok will increase their investment for 2024. And 30% of marketers who don't use short form video will start in 2024. I need to take my own advice and do more short form videos, which I'm working on, but I've also been encouraging my small business owner clients and audience to consider adding short form video to the mix. I know it's a bit of a learning curve to figure out how to do that for your business, but it's well worth it and it's not too late to start. And check this out on the far right hand side, even LinkedIn is getting in on short form video. Finally, the far right of the slide is a screenshot from social media expert Lindsay Gamble, which is showing LinkedIn's coming new TikTok copycat feature. So they are actually going to have a swipe up video format. At one point, I thought I had read that they were going to have a TikTok like feature, but then they had shut down the 24-hour disappearing stories feature, which was a Snapchat copycat. And I thought maybe it wasn't going to happen until the end of March. Someone had posted that there's going to be this new swipe up feed. So potentially giving you one more place that you can repurpose your vertical video on LinkedIn, keeping in mind that, and this is another interesting thing about LinkedIn, I think they became more Facebook-like over time as they kind of let their hair down during the pandemic and wanted to make it a place where people could talk about things that were important to them, that were, that includes work-life balance and kind of more on the personal side. I think they're at this point trying to rein back a little bit to have the content on the platform be more along the lines of professional content in terms of industry insight, professional experience. So yeah, just interesting. So this, I don't have this option yet. You can certainly make sure your LinkedIn app is up to date. I don't know how quickly this will be rolled out to folks, but in the bottom left-hand corner of the LinkedIn app where we normally see the My Network tab will be a video tab. So again, this is on the mobile app. I don't know if they're going to have a video tab on the desktop version, but certainly it's coming to the mobile app, which is very, very interesting. So if you're not already doing short form video as a part of your marketing mix, get on it, friends. The snackable video format is here to stay, and you can still potentially get some visibility and increased engagement for your business. And remember, this makes it easier for other people to potentially share you in private messages. So short is still in, but as I mentioned earlier, short is still in, but long video is making a comeback. Or as Prince once said when Justin Timberlake had his hit song, "For whoever is claiming they're bringing sexy back, sexy never left." I'm really dating myself with that reference, aren't I? So of course, long form video has not gone away. It's been here all along, but all we've heard about, and of course, all the the TikTokification of social media, as Gary Vaynerchuk has called it. Long form video is making a comeback. The main reason for this, I think, is because it's hard to deliver ads on videos that are so short. And when someone's swiping up in the shorts feed, shorts, reels, TikTok feed, and you serve them ads, how do you determine which creators get what cut of the revenue? So in terms of a long-term, more sustainable way to pay content creators for their work and revenue share, longer form video works very nicely, because if someone has long enough content to be able to put ad breaks in it, you know who you can give that cut of the revenue to. So back in February of 2022, TikTok increased its video upload length, his vertical video upload length, to 10 minutes, but few people used a video that long. Most people have been doing shorter content, of course. And in August 2023, Instagram followed suit to make its TikTok copycat longer. And here you can see on the right-hand side of the slide, I have seen already on some of my accounts now that the vertical video upload for Reels is now up to 3 minutes, which is quite handy because sometimes you have a video that just goes beyond that 90 seconds, and it's going to be so nice to be able to still upload that. I don't know how many of the longer videos will show up in the swipeable shorts feed. Also think about attention spans. Someone wants to watch a video and they want to swipe up to the next video. With that said, you never know what will work or what won't. So consider experimenting with length and also with vertical and horizontal video, and look at your analytics to see what works. And over time, Instagram tends to copy TikTok. So to encourage users to share more longer videos, TikTok has said that it will favor videos longer than 1 minute in its algorithm. Snapchat also just announced longer video lengths as well. I'm going to pop back to my comments here. For all your comments, Brianna, I truly appreciate it. So, just a very interesting viral case on the topic of longer video. Starting on, you might have seen this on the news. This is a gal named Teresa Johnson, known as Risa Tisa on TikTok. Starting on Valentine's Day, February 2024, she shared the entire story of her 6-month pandemic romance, marriage, and divorce from her alleged pathological liar ex-husband. She titled the series "Who the F Did I Marry?" and it went viral. Did anyone listen to this? I just can't justify spending that kind of time on that content, so I have not listened to it, but lots of people that I know had posted online about it that they enjoyed it, and it was very fascinating. It Millions of people watched her 8-hour story that she told in 50 10-minute segments on her TikTok channel. She has now created a playlist on her channel so you can either watch or listen continuously to the whole story. So, yeah, crazy. She's been featured now in a ton of. She was the first one person to do so many long, and I understand she's an incredible storyteller, which is part of the key to her success. Also, being in the right place at the right time with TikTok encouraging longer form videos on the platform. She's been featured in a ton of major press and has now been signed by a Los Angeles talent agency. So more people will likely experiment with longer videos on TikTok. And you should too if you use that channel. TikTok continues to even go longer with video. They're currently testing 30-minute videos and have also gone horizontal. Yes, you heard me. TikTok has gone horizontal. So, in the old days of Instagram, you used to be able to share a video that was traditional 16:9, or of course you could share the more TikTok style or Reels, the vertical or 9:16. But at some point, they stopped allowing you to turn your phone sideways on Instagram to watch the video. So irritating, because I had, for a client, we had several beautiful video stories we uploaded that now you have to watch them and they're basically super tiny in the middle of the screen. And so I hope they bring that functionality back because TikTok has. So notice here on the right-hand side of the slide, if you're on TikTok and you see this little full screen icon on the bottom of the video, you can actually turn your phone sideways now and actually watch the full view. So that's the way it is on Facebook. That's the way it is on YouTube. I'm not sure why Instagram took that functionality away from us. Kind of irritating. But TikTok has added this, so you can potentially maybe even repurpose some of your high quality content on TikTok in this full screen format. So kind of interesting. They're certainly encouraging this longer content. So that was as of January 2024. So that means hopefully it's just a matter of time before Instagram copies them, because they seem to do that. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to discuss the potential TikTok ban. Hopefully I'm not boring you on this subject. Why is this happening again now? I believe, and also in explaining this potential TikTok ban, it also explains a little bit about what's going on trend-wise with US shopping, fashion, etc. Okay. Um, TikTok is a non-American owned company and has become too big and too successful and too influential in the US. In the past few years, TikTok has taken much time and video viewing attention away from US owned social media platforms, which is why many channels created their TikTok copycat short form video formats like Reels, Shorts, and more. TikTok has also continued to increase their video upload length, as I've mentioned, and they're encouraging horizontal video, so going up directly against YouTube and other social channels. YouTube, of course, is owned by Google. TikTok also introduced TikTok Shop in the US in September 2023 and has already sold millions of dollars of products in the US. So TikTok Shop is a frictionless way for people to purchase on TikTok right within the TikTok app. They don't have to leave the TikTok app to purchase. They've even kind of kicked off third-party vendors on TikTok, and they are doing the whole thing themselves to make sure it's a smooth, positive experience for shoppers. And so they've already sold millions of dollars of products in the US. They just launched in September of 2023. They fully launched more widely in September 2023, including so this is the interesting trend about shopping and fashion. Chinese manufacturers who formerly produced products for American companies have now figured out that they can create their own products, dupes potentially of American companies' products, and are selling them directly in small quantities to American consumers. So you probably have seen or maybe even used apps like Shein and Temu, which have invested heavily in advertising, particularly during the Super Bowl. And also they invest heavily in online ads on both Instagram and Facebook. So even if you haven't used these Chinese apps, shopping apps, you probably have at least seen some ads for them on your Facebook or Instagram. Here's a quote from an NPR article from December 2023. TikTok has sold about $7 million worth of stuff per day in the US, according to the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg. And Bloomberg reports that TikTok aims to rake in as much as $17.5 billion in sales in 2024 in the United States. Keep in mind, they just launched fully in September of last year. Many small business owners who have opened a TikTok shop and content creators, so the folks that sell products, and also content creators who act as affiliates to promote products for a commission, have had huge success with TikTok Shop in the US. So, of course, they're protesting the potential TikTok ban. There's a gal that I follow on LinkedIn, Joanna Williams, I believe her name is. She is a fashion industry expert and creator economy expert. Her posts of the kind of life-changing commissions that some people are making, even just as content creators creating affiliate content for products selling on TikTok, it's just amazing. So it has huge potential for content creators and also small businesses that sell products. And I even considered adding TikTok Shop as one of my top social media trends for this year, even though it's not available in Canada yet. Yeah, didn't end up choosing it. But it's incredible the success that it's had in the US in less than a year. I have not seen any sign that it might come to Canada soon. I have read articles saying that they may expand to South America, next. So who knows when they might get that feature in Canada. But if you're in the US and if you sell products, if you're a small business, or if you're a content creator, I would look at that potential opportunity. Another potential factor for a ban is that some businesses have shifted at least some of their advertising budgets away from Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and away from Google, which owns YouTube, over to TikTok advertising. One industry expert said, one industry expert said that recent sensor tower data reveals that an anticipated TikTok ban in the US could redirect billions in ad spend and user engagements to alternative short-form video platforms like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. That's a quote from Nirav Chatterjee of Sensor Tower, who is a new connection of mine on LinkedIn. So shout out if you happen to watch this presentation. Of course, there are many other issues, including potential political influence and misinformation with an upcoming election in the US in the fall. And of course, there are legitimate privacy and security issues, but the US government doesn't appear to care about privacy, or they would pass privacy legislation that would apply to all social media companies. But that's a topic for another time. Will TikTok actually get banned in the US? And what will happen if a US company buys it? Well, if TikTok is forced to sell, China won't allow them to sell their proprietary algorithm, which is what makes TikTok so good, so much fun. That's why they've been so successful, is their algorithm. And that is top secret. It's a big part of what makes the app special because it has allowed users to quickly and easily discover content they love without following anyone on the app first. And because this algorithm has also allowed smaller creators and small businesses to get visibility, make sales. It is the social channel that you have the highest chance of going viral on. Whether that viral video will bring the right kind of attention or help get you any business results is another potential question. How will this affect Canada? Back in February 2023, the Canadian government banned TikTok from government phones, as did the US government at the end of 2022. And our NDP leader, the head of one of our major political parties in Canada, actually deleted his TikTok account, which had about 900,000 followers at the time. At the same time, the federal and provincial privacy commissioners in Canada launched a joint investigation into TikTok, but I haven't heard any updates about that at all. And recently, on the news with the talk of the TikTok ban, it was revealed in March 2024 that Canada had ordered a national security review of TikTok last year. That was something that was not announced at that time. It's possible TikTok could actually get banned this time, but based on everything I've seen, I give it about a 25% chance. At first, I thought maybe 50-50, maybe it might actually happen this time. It has been the legislation has been passed in the US House. It still has to be passed in the US Senate before it would go to the president to get signed. But so that's the big question mark. When will it be up for a vote in the Senate? Good question. It has been banned. TikTok has been banned or partially banned in several countries, the largest of which is India, where the ban was made permanent in 2021. That certainly benefited Meta platforms as well as Google platforms. That's where YouTube actually launched YouTube Shorts first, was in India. And if there is a ban or a forced sale of TikTok, it's unlikely to happen before the US election in the fall. Here's a quote from an NBC News article in 2024. A House bill that could potentially ban TikTok in the US won't be taken up by the Senate anytime soon. In fact, it could take months before any TikTok related legislation hits the floor. Senators emerged from a classified briefing on TikTok saying they were highly concerned and that it poses a serious national security threat, but key senators appear to be in no hurry to take up the bill and are working on their own legislation to regulate the app. So if it ever does actually get banned or they're forced to sell TikTok to an American company, it's going to take time, and potentially they still even have 6 months to make that forced sale. If it does ever happen, like I said, I give it about 25% chance Canada would likely follow suit. All right. In response to TikTok's shopping push, Facebook's parent company Meta has also partnered with Amazon. So, US companies versus China. What does Amazon have that Meta doesn't? Our trust to make purchases. So Meta is now working with Amazon to allow customers to link their Facebook and Instagram accounts to their Instagram account and then shop through Meta's apps, where they can potentially check right out with their Amazon customer payment information included. So Meta has the social channels. Amazon has the shopping trust and our payment information. So that could be a win-win partnership. Going to just pop back over to our questions here. Yeah, okay. All right, so who's winning the short form battle in a nutshell? TikTok is still winning the short form video viewing battle, but Instagram is catching up. Here's a quote from Insider Intelligence. US adults will spend a total of 4.43 billion minutes per day on TikTok this year, a more than five-fold increase since 2019. Uh, yeah. With that said, Facebook continues to, or I should say, Instagram has continued to gain ground with their Reels product, and so they would be the next closest competitor, I would say, to TikTok. But TikTok's growth is slowing in the U.S. and globally, still doing very well, but the growth has slowed and potentially slowed in the U.S. And I'm going to move on from there. YouTube Shorts is kind of behind the TikTok and the Reels product, so they have grown significantly over time. And if you compare the actual numbers to the number of Reels views to YouTube Shorts, it's not comparing apples to apples because Facebook and Instagram use the analytic plays to more closely match TikTok's plays, which is basically a millisecond. So if any video even plays for any length of time, they count it as a play, versus historically, Facebook and Instagram have counted a video view as a 3-second view versus YouTube, which historically has counted 30 seconds. They've actually required 30 seconds for a view to be more substantial. So they haven't actually announced publicly what that number is for shorts. My estimate, based on different things I've read, is that they count a view as anywhere from 10 seconds to maybe 30 seconds of watch time. Obviously, depends on the length of the short. And so when you're looking at there is strong growth over time of the shorts product, but with that said, they have a higher standard of what they count as a view than both Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, as well as TikTok's is more of a play. So their numbers are going to look much larger than YouTube's numbers. And just a quick point about live video. I think live video will continue to be an interesting one with all the AI content that we're going to have, proliferation of AI content, and that issue about trust. I think live video is an interesting way to potentially build relationships with the audience. But, and also, YouTube Shorts, if you go live vertically, you potentially have a shot to show up in YouTube Shorts now. Again, it's just a preview and they would have to actually click to go to the YouTube live stream. So that doesn't work if you broadcast horizontally, but you do have to broadcast vertically for that to have that opportunity. And also now with Instagram, still a bit challenging. Part of the reason I did not include a broadcast live to Instagram today was that they still show vertically. So I put a little screenshot here to show you that you can use a third-party tool now to broadcast live with Instagram. But if you're broadcasting horizontally, like I am now, then it will kind of show small in the middle of the screen. So for the purpose of today's presentation, for example, that wouldn't have worked very well because they wouldn't have been able to see, folks wouldn't have been able to see my slides. So action steps for trend number 3, if you're not already, add short form videos to your social media content mix. Even LinkedIn's getting in on the action now, and whichever your social channels of choice that you're using, you can potentially repurpose that content to more than one place. If you're tired of Facebook or the current social channels you're using, it's not too late for you to potentially get on TikTok. TikTok is still going to be around for a while to come. And like I said, I think it's a small percentage that it will actually get banned. And we have more people than ever, 40 plus, spending time on the platform. And for whatever your social channels of choice, I would encourage you to experiment with different video lengths. Experiment with vertical, experiment with horizontal, and experiment with different video lengths. I even doing something like 15-second videos on LinkedIn and just checking your analytics and seeing how that goes. Trend number 4. Era of the everyday content creator. So creators are people who are creating engaging content or interesting digital content. These definitions come from creator economy expert Leah Haberman. She defines the creator economy as businesses, tools, and technological advances that allow creators and brands to monetize how online content is produced and distributed. So, in the past, I've talked about the trend of user generated content. So, this is content generated by real people. I work with a client who is a destination management company for travel company for Ecuador and Galapagos, and we often have people that go on a trip. They have a beautiful experience. They want to share their photos and their video of their vacation, and I ask permission. May I repost your content to our social media channels? And they almost always say yes. Of course, I give them credit. Of course, it's with credit. And because I would say over time, and especially the younger generation, they want to hear more from everyday people. They want to hear from people like them, what their experience was. They don't necessarily want to see advertising. They don't necessarily want to see polished content. They want to see, what does something really look like? What does that restaurant meal really look like? And so there's an interesting shift happening right now with content. So content creators have been around for a very long time, but it seems like they're getting more recognition for their creativity and their economic contributions. And more everyday people are becoming content creators. So motivated by the potential to share what they love and to potentially make money. And also for folks like myself and maybe like you, if you are a service professional, creating content can be a way that you can help people, serve others, and potentially have them discover you, and they may hire you for your services. There are more, the barriers to entry are lower, and there are more free and affordable tools than there ever have been for those that want to learn to create. But it's not necessarily an easy path to make money. Of course, there's a lot of competition, and it takes a consistent effort of hard work. You have to develop skills and create a lot of content over time to make a living as a content creator. But the possibility is there. So if that young person in your life says they want to be a TikToker or a YouTuber when they grow up, that could be a legitimate career path. There are more universities and colleges offering programs to help people learn these skills. And many people are doing this as a side hustle or maybe as a supplement to other income that they may have. So April 2023, Goldman Sachs said that 50 million people around the world work as content creators. Some sources say that could be as many as 3 million creators around the world. And Goldman Sachs says that the creator economy is currently worth 250 billion. That number gets tossed around a lot, and that it could potentially double to 500 billion by 2027. Uh, and this is an article from this is a quote from this article: millions work as content creators. In official records, they barely exist. So this is an article from the Washington Post in October 2023. It says millions have ditched traditional career paths to work as online creators and content makers using their computers and phones to amass followers and build businesses whose influence now rivals the biggest names in the entertainment industry, called the creator economy. Um, in the US, YouTube estimates that roughly 390,000 full-time jobs, or the equivalent of that, this is for 2022, were supported by creators. So they supported the equivalent of 390,000 full-time jobs. And in Canada, that number is, just a side note, that number from YouTube, they said 35,000, the equivalent of 35,000 full-time jobs in Canada. So according to YouTube's own data, that potentially there's a lot more content creators in the US than in Canada. So it was once dismissed as a frivolous craze for tweens and teens. The creator class has reshaped American culture, transformed how we get information, and rewritten the rules for modern fame. So the main way that content creators have historically, some folks say influencer, content creator, not that they're necessarily interchangeable terms, but the main way folks have created or earned their living has been from sponsored content or brand deals with businesses. But that's changing. More and more people are earning money from tipping or gifting, and many of the social platforms, including YouTube, including Instagram, Facebook, are offering these tipping functions. They're not widely available to everyone yet, and you potentially have to have build up your audience before you would have access to these monetization features. But interesting that creators are diversifying the way they earn money. Also, YouTube is has lowered the barrier to entry to become one of their YouTube partners. So the YouTube partner program is how you access all the monetization features on YouTube. So for example, one of the criteria in the past was that you had to have 1,000 subscribers. They've now lowered that threshold to 500 subscribers. So of course, that's just one of the criteria that you need to meet in order to be able to become a YouTube partner and access the tipping features. But I love that thought that anyone can become a content creator, share information about what they love, and any other average everyday person can potentially reward them by giving them a tip if they appreciated that content. So I mentioned TikTok has been driving this trend for short form content, and also people from all ages all over the world to become content creators. And because with TikTok, as I've mentioned, you have the potential to get views, even if you have a very small number of followers on the platform. So this is a new report that TikTok offered called the TikTok POV, or point of view, how to reach women on TikTok report for March 2024. And they said 77% of people who monetize their digital content are women. And 67% of women who use TikTok agreed that when shopping online, they always rely on creator recommendations to decide what to buy. So I want to share one more stat from this report, which is, I mentioned that trend expert that I love to follow on TikTok and LinkedIn, Coco Moco. She said, in the past, you had to be young to get popular online. TikTok changed that. It opened the floodgates for women of all ages to make content, and people from all around the world to make content. This gal in the middle, the screenshot of the gal in the middle, is a gal that was featured recently on TikTok business account, and she calls herself Tactical Grandma. She plays, I don't know if it's Fortnite or what game she plays, but she basically plays video games. And the young men that she ends up playing with are surprised to see her there. They're like, Tactical Grandma. And, they say things like, go get me a sandwich, and she just smack talks them back. So her content is very engaging. I want to say she has maybe 1 million followers on TikTok. So there's all kinds of different people doing all kind of different interesting content on not just TikTok, but many social channels. And it could be a potential way to make an income, or one source of income. So to wrap up, trend number 4, action steps. It's a great time to create content. Develop your skills if this is something you're interested in doing. Obviously, there's a learning curve to learn how to create content and what content you might want to create. They look at ways you can potentially create content with others. That can be fun, and also you can both people can share the content and promote it to their audiences, so you get more bang for your buck. And hire help. There's so many great um, resources online, so many great YouTube channels, also LinkedIn Learning that I mentioned earlier. They have tons of courses that you can take on learning content creation. So highly recommend checking that out. And finally, our last trend, I know this has been a long presentation. Our last trend is social search for discovery. This is a continuing trend. So search is changing in general, particularly with generative AI, and social search is growing. So back in 2022, a Google executive famously said that they saw TikTok as a potential business risk. He said something like almost 40% of young people, when they're looking for a place for lunch, they don't go to Google Maps or search, they go to TikTok or Instagram. So a lot is changing right now with all the new developments in AI. There are so many new ways for people to search for information and ask questions. Of course, the younger generation is more likely to search on social. They're doing searches on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and more. And there's a chart on the right here that shows some of the places the younger generation begins their searches. So from an e-marketer analyst, Jasmine Enberg, she said, and I quote, Gen Z is looking for a different search experience than just the text and blue links of Google search, of a Google search engine results page. They want to search in a way that's more entertaining, more engaging, visual, and crowdsourced. Consumers also turn to social search because they're seeking content from other humans rather than from a publication or website. So even if the younger generation, especially, they smell right through it. If someone's sharing content about something they're not authentic about or they don't believe in, they can sense it. So yeah. I know I have run way over my time here, so I just want to mention very briefly this research from Rand Fishkin of SparkToro. You can check it out if you want to get some more information. But he says Google is still sending the majority of search traffic, however, to websites. However, our social media channels is where folks are discovering what to search for. So he says that people are finding your business, potentially discovering your business on social channels, but they may be going to Google search to search for your name or search for your business name, and that's something that you cannot track because that potentially is going to show up in the direct traffic source in your Google Analytics, which doesn't necessarily say where that traffic came from. And also, so you're not able to kind of track that click directly from social media to your website. Also, social media channels want to keep their users on their social media channels and not take them off. So we are penalized when we use a link in a social media post. So I'm not saying don't use social links in social media posts, but certainly I would say consider doing some posts where you're just sharing all the information you want to share on the post and not necessarily having an outbound link to click. With that said, some of the time, of course, you will put links to your event, to your email sign up, to your blog post, etc. So just trying things with a link, without a link, and looking at your analytics, and you may see that the linkless posts are perform better. In the past, they had called this from the same source. SparkToro had called this zero-click social media posts, where you're basically giving the information you want to share on a social post rather than giving the first little tidbit and saying, but you got to click my link to go read the rest of the article on my blog. So just an interesting point here. He says, even though we get a lot of traffic from Google, that doesn't mean you should abandon ship from social media platforms and just invest all your time and energy into blogging. But blogging is still potentially relevant. So you can click the link on the slides if you like and dive more into this study information. So to wrap up, trend number 5, social search for discovery action steps. Consider optimizing your social media posts with relevant keywords. So consider also writing some longer captions. So if you're a person that always puts short captions on your social media posts, consider doing some posts that have some longer captions that might include relevant keywords. Consider doing some of these zero-click posts where you're just delivering the content right there on the social post. Maybe you try it both ways. Maybe you put a link to your blog for one post, and then maybe you try another post where it actually shares some of the content from your blog. And if you do paid advertising, consider the search placement for your ads if available to you. I actually am going to go ahead and skip the update on X versus Twitter. Perhaps I'll save that for another video because I know I've gone so long here with this presentation. So if this topic is of interest, let me know. How is Threads, how is Instagram Threads faring against Twitter's X? No clear winner yet, but in a nutshell, Threads is doing pretty good considering it's been around for less than a year and it could over time catch up, although X or Twitter has not gone downhill as much as I thought it might. So there's a nutshell. If you're interested in more on this topic, let me know and I may do a separate video on that. And just to wrap up here, a couple of the more consumer related trends reports that I think you might find interesting. Instagram has a great trend talk for 2024. As well, TikTok has its own trend report for 2024. And also Pinterest, of course, has its Pinterest Predicts Trends report. And new this year, they have a Pinterest palette, which talks about the trending colors. So if you work in any kind of style or fashion business, you might find that interesting. And with that said, I don't know if we still have any folks hanging out with us. I have gone way longer than I planned. This was supposed to be a 1-hour presentation, and I clearly put way too much information in this presentation. So thank you very much. Oh, and I'm saying a comment from Chris here that said, I want to be a YouTuber and I am 66 years old. And Chris also said she does not use Google anymore. I'm assuming you mean you don't use Google for search, Chris, which is interesting. Wow. Cool. Well, thank you very much for anyone who watched this far, or if you're watching the replay, thank you very much for taking the time to join me for my top social media trends presentation. I need to get better at being more concise and not having such a long presentation because I certainly wasn't planning to go so long today. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching. If you enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed this presentation, please feel free to follow me on social media channels. And I'd love your feedback. If any of the tips that I shared today or any of the information that I shared in today's presentation was helpful, I would love to hear your feedback or your questions. If you have questions about something that we covered today, and you want to ask your questions, please feel free to comment on the presentation and I will be happy to do my very best to answer your questions. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, and let's stay in touch. Take care.